different metrics, different metrics, different products. So what you want to look at is look at your product and say, okay, what metrics really matters to me? Engagement, as I said, a B2B product is not engaged. You will not be looking at the engagement. You might not look at the engagement so much, because people just want to do what they have to do and move on with their life. You understand? It's not exactly Instagram or Twitter where you can say, okay, what they are constantly engaging with. Do you understand? So you want to focus your energy on full metrics. So I mean, this Google Ads framework is also available out there. So you can look at, so adoption, you see for adoption, engagement, you're looking at average session length, you're looking at average session frequency. Of course, we have tools that help you monitor these things. So don't worry about, don't stress yourself about, oh, how will I do that? No. There are tools that you can embed into your product to help you gather this and give you this metrics. All you need to do is go to the dashboard, look at it, and begin to use your data. Adoption would be download rate. Adoption is that I'm using it there. I mean, for them, they want people to adopt their product. The only way they can measure adoption is by downloading the download rate, registration rate, then even feature adoption rate, right? Retention rate is subscription renewal, churn rates, task success, exit rates, crash rate. We have tools that help you with all of this data, trust me. So you don't need to even stress yourself. Like, you will not need to start, don't think about gathering all of these things. So different companies have it. This one by here is UserZoom. UserZoom just measures based on their task success, appearance, and ease of use, and they have their own metrics too as well. All of these we're also going to discuss during the 6-week training, how to gather, how to create your own, or how to know what's best, what to measure, and what kind of metrics you're going to be getting out of it as well. Now, selecting the right methodology. I've said a lot, surveys, this and this, but how do you then know which one to use, right? There are a bunch of tools or approaches to use out there, but this is what I try to do for myself. I ask the following question. What are we trying to achieve? Are we exploring? Are we testing? What data are we trying to gather? Is it qualitative or quantitative data, behavioral, attitudinal? And what stage of the product development lifecycle? If you're just at the initial stage, the kind of research you will do differs from what you will do when you have a product, you know, or when you have a prototype, right? If you're still at the, so you need to put all of that into perspective when you're designing, or sorry, when you're testing or researching either. This is like discover, the exploration, testing, and listening. That's for question one. You know, they have activities, the different kind of methods you can use here, right? I also have this image I'm sharing again that gives you this behavioral, attitudinal, and quantitative. So what I did personally for myself was that, because I did not want to have to start doing all this comparison and, oh, let me see it. No. So I just created this one for my own self. Like, so that's what we use in the organization where I work. So we are looking.
Ayo, hey, we can't hear you. Sorry guys, bear with us. I think our internet is having some issues.
I'm not even sure what to do. So can you hear me now, please?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Thank you. So what I did was also to just have this thing for my, like, I just created this particular like the 2x2 metrics, so that I have it here, and I'm like, okay, so we're trying to do this. This is what we're trying to achieve. We want to gather, we're trying to test. We want to gather quantitative data. We have quantitative data, or these are the kind of metrics we want. Okay, so we want this. We want to calculate time to complete task. We want to calculate. We want to also get their wow moments, you know, and things like that. And these are both quantitative and quantitative. I come here and I look at it, like, okay, pick one or two, like just pick one or two tools that are within me, I mean, considering my, like looking at my constraint. Constraint is timelines, constraint is budget. You know, some of these projects at times you need budget for it. So, for example, a lab remote test, you need budget for it. You want to compensate people that are coming to test. So you need to look at your time, look at your budget too as well, and say, which of these two will give me the most useful, give me valuable feedback, immediate valuable feedback. See, I feel like I tell people that you need to ground yourself in your realities, right? You need to look at your organization and tell yourself that, so this is what, I mean, it will be good. Some organizations will give you budget. I mean, in my place, we'll have budget. I can push for budget. Sometimes it gets approved. Sometimes it's not approved. And when it's not approved, you just need to look for just innovative ways around it. So you also need to look at your realities and don't say, and just not be stuck on, oh, we must do this, we must do this. Nah, so that you don't get frustrated at the end of the day. As I said to you, user research is just something new, in organizations now, especially in this part of the world. And a lot of people don't understand why you have to research, why you're doing it. So it's best for you to just like always know your own context and work with the context. This I have to say that so that you don't think that it's it's just one smooth journey, right? Okay. So I have this as well. I would also be sharing this in my 6 weeks class, and I'll try to make these slides available to everyone, so that you can always go by. Now, user research approach or process. Now that you know your tools, you know the kind of data you want to gather, how do you you have a research project, how do you approach it? How do you start? First is start with questions. Please, can we mute? First is start with the question. Question is, what are we trying to achieve? That question is very important, right? I wish I could share a research plan with you that I do, and you will see the objective is what matters. If someone comes to you, some stakeholder in the business saying, oh, we want to run a research on one of our products, and we're seeing that so and so, you need to do deep and say, why are you running this research? Why do you want, what are you trying to get out of this? Okay, we want to look at the, we observed that there is a decline in the usage of our cards over web platforms, right? The next question you want to ask is that, why are you trying to identify why are you trying to identify that, or why do you want to understand that, right? So they will tell you something around, oh, we're trying to see or devise strategies to improve usage, or we're trying to see maybe we should explore other payment options, right? Or other ideas and all, right? So you need to know their end goal. So that would then determine things, what you would do within it. So once you identify that, so what I try to do is organize a discovery session, right? If it's a project that is brought to me, if it's one that, the team came up with themselves, that's fine. But if it involves an external stakeholder, you want to organize a discovery session where you are drilling deep into why. So often at times, they're even telling you, they themselves, they may not even know. So you help them to just clarify things in that session. The next thing is plan the research. So planning your research is looking at what the objective and trying to identify a lot of things. So who are we targeting? Do we have the database for this? Do we have, what metrics are we looking out for? What is our participants? How do we reach out to our participants? What approach? Do you understand? You plan your research, and planning the research is not just in your head. You need to document it, because we have to go back to the stakeholders and say, this is the research plan, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what we're going to be doing. These are the people we're targeting. Does this align with your with what you're looking at? Does this align with your objective? So we need to be in sync, and so it's very essential to document it and go back to them and present it in a slide or presentation mode, basically, so that there's some sort of alignment between what you want and what you have in your head and your own understanding and their understanding. And even if it's a personal research, it's like clarifying things up front. At that point in time, you're already asking yourself, you're able to sit down and say, who are my personas gone? Who am I even trying to ask? Do you understand? Is it everybody that are using cards that I want to meet, or no, or just a fraction of people that are using our cards? Do you understand? Then you select your approach. So you know your objective, you know your persona. I've already mentioned how to select approach. So you know the metrics you're trying to gather. You already know, what you want to do. So what then happens here? You're able to select your approach based on this, what you gathered here. That's why I said this part is very, very, very important. You're able to gather. So you select your approach. Okay, I want to go with surveys. I want to do this thing. Then select your participants. Please confirm that you can hear me so that okay. So select your participants. Now, participant recruitment is one of the biggest challenge we have as researchers. And that is why participant recruitment has to be an ongoing thing in your organization. So you're not just sitting down and saying, oh, when we need, no. You need to constantly do it. Create it as a project, like an ongoing project. Getting participants is very difficult. In this part of the world, people will hardly fill surveys. People will, you walk up to people and you say, please, can you give me a minute? I just want to test, I want you to let me test something here. It's a problem. Walk up to, I remember one of the researches that we did sometime in January this year. We had to go into we want to talk to store managers or managers of retail chain outlets, right? And it was really difficult because when you walk up to them, they don't want to divulge information. So a lot of times you now have to start leveraging network. So, and that's why you need to work with people around the business. You need to work with your salespeople, let them introduce you to people. So the way we had to approach that was just reach out to salespeople, please introduce us to people, and then they were more receptive to us. But initially, when we started to walk in to talk to people, it was total shutdown. They will not even answer you because they felt like they were divulging secrets, the organization's secrets. Do you understand? So you also need to be able to, you have to think about your participant recruitment process as well. Then once you have your process, you have your approach, right? I mean, when it comes to planning the research also has to do with if you're choosing surveys, what are your survey questions? What are your interview tasks, right? When you have all of that, you can then begin to collect your data with that instrument. Oh, I've sent out my surveys to people, I'm interviewing people, you have your data. The next is data analysis and synthesis. This is where the work, this is also where the work is, analyzing that data. Remember I said, knowing that you want to know how happy your customer is not the end goal. It's not my customer is happy is not the point. Is okay, I have these metrics or rather, how do you know your customer is happy? It's based on your metrics. So you now have this data, right? You collected this data. You need to sit down, synthesize it, analyze what you have, put them into things, right? To make useful information out of this. To be honest, all of this sounds really theoretical right now, and it takes a practical class to be able to understand how to do this. And it's also where a lot of people So people see surveys and they say, oh, our user said yes, and that's it. No, it's not just yes. What are the other things supporting it? Do you understand? What are is it just I mean, it cannot just be yes. Why are they saying yes? What are the things that support it? Okay, yes to what exactly? Do you understand? So you need to be able to analyze, you need to learn how to analyze those data that you have to make useful information for you. Sometimes you're using tools too as well. You're looking at tools. You're using for example, UXCam, or you're using Hotjar. They already give you the metrics. To be able to analyze and synthesize this data is also a skill that you need to learn, right? So finally is report your findings. Reporting your findings is very, very useful. It's very, very important. So I see a lot of people do research and they're just showing text. Our user said this. No. And that's why you need to gather quantitative data. See, a lot of people respond to quantitative data a lot. Do you understand? When they see 10% of our users said so and so, 20%. So you cannot just say, our user said this. No, 10% said this, 20% said this, 80% said this. So 80% said that based on based on our response, based on our data, 80% of this persona or this category of users have said they want this, right? Being able to present your findings in chat, with charts, with numbers, videos, infographics is very, very important. So what I also try to do myself is, because I'm not an island of knowledge, I always go to reports. I look at reports like McKinsey reports. I look at PwC reports. I like to look at how they've been able to visualize things. I look at user testing. I look at their reports too as well, just reading to improve my own understanding of how to visualize, how to make my research findings visual. right? And this is particularly like, this is how I carry out my research approach. For people that will be attending 6 weeks class, as I said, I will dig deep into this very, very well. But as a researcher, this is what you typically do. This is how you just, carry out your research, basically. For me, tools of the game, what I try to do, start with the question, interviewing, speaking with, I will use tools like maybe depending on the tools you use within your organization, Microsoft Form. Planning my research, I use Google Slides. Sometimes I use Notion, but mostly standardizing, because right now we're trying to standardize our tools and templates. So we're just sticking to Notion, right? So but you can use Google Slides, you can use PowerPoint, depending on what you want to do, but you want to have a tool that people can always refer back to. So you can go back to the tool and say, the thing with PowerPoint is that you have to save on your system, on your local system, so it's not available to people. Google Slide makes a lot of sense, but I think that Notion and products like Notion also allows you to just to have like a central repository. Do you understand? A central repository where people can come, click on it, and see the different research you've done and reports and things like that. Reports and all. It's very important to also document your reports, because, say for example, I had a recent scenario where I work, and we had somebody come to us and say, oh, I want to do this research. And we remember that just some months ago, we did something similar. And the next question was that, oh, have you actually carried out, or have you implemented some of these recommendations we gave you from our initial research? Because if you've not done that, why do you want us to then go ahead with this same kind of research again, right? So we were able to reshare our reports with her and all, because we had it like centralized. So you want a central system. Typeform, I use Typeform for surveys. Google Form is very good, but what Typeform does for you is it allows you to be able to analyze your responses very, very well. You're able to do like deeper set of analytics, looking through the tables and the likes, right? That's what Typeform does. But Typeform is paid, and so if you want to, as beginners, Google Form is fantastic. It's good. I use Google Form for personal projects, right? Typeform is what we use in the organization. Maze is used for gathering feedback to as well on your prototypes. So sometimes you can have your prototypes or your product, and you want to send it out as a survey to a large user and see what they have or what they're trying to do, or how they will use your product, right? Maze allows you to do that, and also records how they interact with your product, right? Dovetail is, there's something called atomic research, and I'm not going to dwell on it, but atomic research is just a way of democratizing research within the organization. And Dovetail is a very important tool. Dovetail is a very, very important tool for that as well, right? Please confirm that you can hear me so that I can. So then Miro too is for analysis and all. Canva, people use Canva for presentation. I use Figma for my reporting, right? Because Figma allows me to do my charts, make things look all pretty. Canva, people use Canva. So please feel free to use Canva as well. FigJam works like Miro too. I use FigJam too for analysis too as well. So those are like tools of the games that I just kind of use. So becoming a user research, what next? You're here, you found out that I think I like what it is. As I said, barrier to entry is very, very low, right? What do I need to do next? There are a lot of skills you need to develop. First, you need to develop your skills. You need to read books, you need to read articles, you need to read case studies. Take courses, online courses. If you can't afford paid courses, in fact, I always advise people, go with free courses first. Go to Udemy, explore free courses, then scale up to paid ones, right? Because it's only when you're interested that paid courses work for you, to be honest. So when you're done, again, user UX research experience, right? You don't have to be working in an organization. Within your space, you can just create a problem statement and say you want to understand something, right? Or work with a designer, reach out to an experienced designer or somebody and say, oh, please, I would like to work with you on a project. I just want to, I want you to involve me in your research project, process, and it's just practice, practice, practice. I mean, even in any field, I think practice is the most important thing. At the end of the day, is building your portfolio. So portfolio does not mean you need to have like a lot. Just have 1 or 2 case studies. To be honest, 1 is fine. But if you want to go, I mean, I just go 2, right? Have this and document it properly. Like document a case study to a portfolio to as well. In the 6-week class that we're going to organize, we're going to be explaining to people how to also document a portfolio too as well. And once you have this, I think you're just set to become to get a job or start applying for a job as a junior researcher, right? It's not easy. Nobody ever said the journey was going to be easy. I don't ever think any career is easy in life, no matter how the barrier to entry. But if you want it, right? If you want to do it, if it's beyond just the money for you, something like it's like trying to just know what your users want. I think it's just interesting. It's an interesting field. It's something to just want to delve into, and I mean, that would be my advice on having to start. At this point, I will just end the class. It's been a long class, a long session. I hope people understood what I said so far, and I think it's just time for questions. So if you have questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions, and you can also just type it on the chat as well, so that we can just, I mean, I can answer your questions if you have any. I know it's a lot to take on. So if you have questions, clarifications, I think it's just time to ask them. Thank you. Okay. Okay, somebody asked when the 6 weeks class starts. So because it's going to be a robust class, it's going to take a while. So we're looking towards like, this is maybe April, April, we're starting like April. We're still trying to come up with like the syllabus, and just to train people. It's going to be a class with just very limited number of people. As I said, it's free. It's free, and there'll be like a selection criteria, because honestly, I mean, even if it's free, I don't just want people to abuse it, right? So we'll be very, very deliberate about our selection, but we'll definitely reach out to everyone via mail and try to get when the opportunity comes up, yeah, we will. Then also, myself and some other people, we're doing some sort of like sponsorship. We'll sponsor some people this year on some user research courses, maybe on IDF, or we're going to just create that. All of this, I'm communicating to you as time goes on within the year. But yeah, thanks. Somebody asked a question. Can you kindly share the slide with us so we can sync up with all what we have learned today? Oh yes, I would share. I will share the slide with you. I think I can just do that now. Let me see. I think I can do that next along. I think I can. Yeah. So somebody asked, I wanted to know how long it take for an individual to fully build this herself in this particular field. As I said, it takes a very short, it's dedication. Everything is dedication and how fast you're able to learn. So I mean, 4 months, 4 months, like 4 months, 5 months, you are fine. You understand? All you need is like a solid project to be able to work on, right? If you have a solid project, you're able to then apply yourself. And as I said, it's not just for mouth. Everybody wants to be in tech. Everybody wants to make the large bucks. Everybody wants to work with an international organization, but there is the works. We have a lot of researchers, we have a lot of designers out there, and they don't even have jobs. Not because, we say that there is a lot of opportunities, but guess what? The opportunities are still limited because we still have lots and lots of people going into the field, right? So you want to be able to stand out and be very, very deliberate about what you do. Yeah. Somebody said, do I need to become a graphic designer before I can be called a pro in UX UI designer? No. I didn't start out as a designer, as a graphic designer. Being a graphic designer is a plus. Do you understand? It's a plus for you as to be a plus because you're able to represent things, apply your design knowledge when you come into the field of UX. But beyond design, beyond visual design, there is a lot more that has to do with UX, right? UX design or design basically as a field. There is understanding the users, which is where research comes into play, right? Knowing when to, knowing how to create your like content design, information architecture. There are other fields that are beyond design. So you don't need to be a graphic designer to be a UX researcher. You don't need to be a graphic designer to be a UX designer. All you need is all you need to do is, be very deliberate about your knowledge and try to learn a lot, right? Of course, you need to understand the fundamental design principles. You need to understand research experience principles. There are principles that guide every career or every path. You need to understand them. So understanding it is also good, but you can also develop your design skills, so you don't have to be a graphic designer. That's it. Is there any medium we can converse or interact with you? Yeah, so on Twitter, I'm not exactly active on Twitter, but I think that I have you can always chat me up on Twitter. Yeah, Ayo, you can also reach out to me via my mail, ayobami adeligba@gmail.com. I just have it here, right? So you can always reach out to me on Twitter, on this, and also on LinkedIn. Ayobami Adeligba. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm available. I would always respond to your questions. What 1 or 2 books will you recommend to learn the fundamental? So I would say read Hooked. Hooked is by Neil Ayal. What's that his name? Yeah. Read Hooked. Also, I think this book is pretty popular. The Design of Everything. What's that? The Design of Everything Good or something by that know about. Yeah, it's been a while I read the book, but those books just actually cover, you learn more about experience as opposed and how you can apply that to work, right? Understanding this, so those are books you can read in terms of maybe design fundamentals. I would also recommend, maybe I'll send it via mail as well, recommend some books for you in terms of research as well. I had that somewhere, but I would share that with you as well. Oh, of course, I would share that with you. I think I still have your mail, so I'm going to share that as a mail with you. I'm going to also share blogs and that you can just read up to, places you can read up to also ramp up your knowledge on user research. So I'm going to share that with you as a mail, and yeah, feel free to just ask me any question after that, my clarification. Sorry, any other question before end class? Okay, I think I don't have any question. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. The time is about to go. After identifying user problems, what next? Once you identify your user's problem, what you want to do next is now begin to create a solution around it. Ideate through problems, brainstorm through problems, and that's pretty much it. And then you continue, you design, you test, and all of that. Thank you so much. Time is running out, and I don't want us to have to join again. But as I said, you can reach out to me. You can follow me on Twitter, on LinkedIn too. You can always send me emails on Google and my email. I would respond to you. I'm very open to sharing knowledge, and I'm very responsive. So reach out to me anywhere and I will answer your questions. The next session, I would definitely communicate to you. I have your email, so I would reach out to you and communicate all of that to you as well. I'll communicate that to you. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend as well. Bye. Bye.